seMaswati.
Awile.
Wena babe.
Emandla abakasimelane.
Sekuphelile ngaso. Ngeke uphindze usibone.
Ha, kuphela kanjani ngaso goje lesikhwama salamadimoni abo sishile.
uNkulunkulu ungikhombise isipho lahlanyele lapha kuwe musi.
Sihamba nekutehlisa.
Nothando.
Akamele singenele endleleni.
Ini uyasangana yini?
Kumele angene endumbeni.
Angeke kulunge. Lento idalethe ingcabano kulomndeni. Wathi ngani?
Lo mfana sebenza ngemandla kaNkulunkulu. Siwati kahle thina emadloti la kaSimelane.
Simama on Mondays at 8:30 p.m. on Eswatini TV, Sibuko seMaswati.
Hey guys, let's take a selfie.
Oh, wait.
Woo!
Get it.
It's a video.
We, the young, are not a complicated bunch. You see, we take each day as a clean slate, a chance to experience more. Why turn down the volume when you can turn up the vibe? It's never about the destination, it's about the journey. And this is so true when it comes to South Africa. This land wants you to live in the here and now.
The coolest.
And not in some hashtag, because a place this timeless doesn't follow trends. It sets them. And her people have a way of making you feel at home. So come touch, taste, and live South Africa. There's so much more to see. Come journey with us.
Good evening, dear viewers, and welcome to the News Bulletin at 8, brought to you by our number one news provider, Eswatini TV. I am Nondomiso Vilagati alongside Nomaxabiso Nkambule, and here are your top stories. The Director of Education, Dr. Ndomendle Dlamini, says the second phase of the Technical and Vocational Education and Training Enhancement Project, TVET, will focus on strengthening the national skills framework. The Ministry of Tourism and Environmental Affairs has held a climate adaptation stakeholder consultation meeting. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Bektemba Gama, says he is disappointed to read in media that some teachers say they will not be in class this week. The news. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Thuli Dladla, says Eswatini is ready to engage with SADC and participate in the SADC Troika Summit, where Eswatini is expected to present a report about the situation in the kingdom. She was responding to misinformation about Eswatini's participation at SADC Troika Summit, as reported by Foreign News.
Press statement sent by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Thuli Dladla, to the news crew about the misinformation about Eswatini's participation at SADC and Troika Summit plus Mozambique and Eswatini. The minister says, in the wake of widespread misinformation spearheaded by foreign news organizations about the participation of the Kingdom of Eswatini in the SADC and Troika Summit plus Mozambique and Eswatini, the government informs the nation about the following sequence of events. The minister says, The summit of the SADC, Organ, Troika plus Mozambique and Eswatini was announced in the past few weeks, and Eswatini was requested to provide a progress report on the situation in the kingdom. However, due to unforeseen circumstances, the summit was postponed at the instance of SADC, and the opportunity to present such a report was lost. The ministerial meeting, being the highest segment, would not have had this report as it was prepared for the summit. The SADC Secretariat and the chairperson of the organ are fully aware of this adjustment. The minister says Eswatini stands ready to participate in the rescheduled Troika summit should the invitation be extended again. She says Eswatini is also ready to engage with SADC in all aspects of the aforementioned agenda. This press release is from the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Thuli Hlahla. Reporting, I'm Kian Msibi, Mbabane.
The Ministry of Tourism and Environmental Affairs has held a climate adaptation stakeholder consultation meeting. The Director of Meteorology, Duduzile Nhlengetwa, says this meeting will see the advancement of the country's national adaptation plan.
The government of the Kingdom of Eswatini, through the Ministry of Tourism and Environmental Affairs, received support from the Green Climate Fund to build capacity for national adaptation planning with the United Nations Environment Programme as an implementing partner. On Tuesday, the Ministry of Tourism and Environmental Affairs held a national adaptation planning process stakeholder meeting. The Director of Meteorology, Duduzile Nhlengetwa, says this inception workshop is to introduce and gather preliminary input for work and deliveries of the adaptation aspect for the overall goal of building capacity for the national adaptation plan process in Eswatini.
We are having a national adaptation planning process stakeholder consultation where we are introducing our adaptation experts who will be assisting us, among other things, with doing a policy and legislative assessment, which will form a baseline for us as we continue with adaptation planning. It will inform us what we have on the ground that can support our adaptation processes and adaptation planning process. And furthermore, this consultant will be doing work on public awareness. Particularly, he will be assisting us with policymakers awareness raising, and also general public awareness raising. And also, one other key components that he will be working on is doing work that is taking us towards mainstreaming climate change into the national curriculum, as it is important for us to make sure that our children grow up knowing what climate change is and how we can deal with climate change in the spheres of adaptation and also mitigation.
In Eswatini, both minimum and maximum temperatures are projected to increase through the 2090s, and temperatures is expected to rise by as much as 1.9 degrees Celsius by 2050. Hot days are also expected to rise by as many as 24.4 days by the 2050s, as per the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samgeswe Kwazawit from Nkosinsinesa Sulwini.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Bektemba Gama, says schools opened smoothly on the first day of 2022. However, he is disappointed to read in the media that some teachers say they will not be in class this week.
Was the first day of school for the 2022 academic calendar. Some parents were still busy looking for admission places for their children, while some were still queuing in banks to pay their school fees. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Bektemba Gama, says as far as he knows, schools opened smoothly and there were no challenges reported. However, it is disappointing to read in the media that some teachers say they will not be in class this week.
Siyathemba ngwana sengathwe report ukuthi kuqhubeka kanjani ngona ilanga lisaqhubeka. Sithemba siqhubeke kahle. Kufa umsakathi sengathi sanalithuba kholo ngubona ephepheni ngathi kuthiwa bothishela bakushoyo, but angicabanga ukuthi ngibo. Ngandaba babakhotheka kabi la maphepheni. Kuthi ngasuka thishela athi yena akayi esikoleni uyofuna indzawo yesikole. Lokho ngikubuka kwethu akusiyo into lengabe ikahle. Sikaze thishela ukuthi usemsebentini kude thishela lovile. Ngoba nabalovile maybe sebangangibhayela basho sabakayi mhla kabani. Ngiloba sita ngibasheshe ngibendele no work no pay bangaze manje la ngaba discover kulabanye sebangekho emsebenzini kodwa bahola kodwa ke akuseyo i-aim leyo ngilokuthi nje thina sigathe sibothishela basetikolweni lo ngekho ngilophuma ngemvumo ya head teacher nabe kukhona lo makako naye kunemvumo ya head teacher.
Gama says learners lost 2 years of their education, therefore there should be no time wasted as every minute is precious. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian MCB with Sam Kelsiwe Mbabane.
Dr. Ndomenhle Dlamini says the second phase of the Technical and Vocational Education and Training Enhancement Project, TVET, will focus on strengthening the national skills framework. The TVET project is in the Eswatini College of Technology and Gwamila Vocational and Commercial Training Institute.
Aiming to increase the employment competitiveness of Eswatini youth, the government of the Republic of China and Taiwan helped improve the quality of training in vocational training and education institutions. The two major local educational institutions, which is the Eswatini College of Technology and the Gwamila Vocational and Commercial Training Institute, introduced the Taiwan Technical and Vocational Training System to optimize the course syllabus and teaching content of key departments. The Director of Education, Dr. Ndomenhle Dlamini, says in the second phase of the project, the government of the Kingdom of Eswatini will focus on improving the national skills certification framework.
Kunginyalo nje ngidawubekisa ngase ecourt sine diploma kwamanje ngoba sisazambalazela ukuthi ithi nayifika la itawukhona kukhicida emakhono ku level ye degree bese sesivele sifaka le curriculum lese siyakhile ikhona nje sesiyakhile imele ukuthi ichumane kamelula nale diploma nangabe sekuqale la ema degrees.
On another note, the Taiwan government has provided short-term intensive training to 223 qualified technicians, which has been highly praised by local industries in the development of industries such as electrical machinery, information and communication, and automobile repair and maintenance. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Sam Kelsiwe with Muzum Konta, Babane.
The Swaziland Empowerment Limited cell has donated 150,000 Amalangeni to 3 non-governmental organizations, which are Shashaya Homes, Hospice at Home and the Hope House. The donation was presented by the chairperson of the board at Cell, Jetro Ndlangamandla.
On Monday, the Swaziland Empowerment Limited SCL donated 50,000 Amalangeni to 3 non-governmental organizations that provide palliative and health care services each. The beneficiaries are the Sheshaya Homes, Hospital at Home, Clinic, and Hope House Community Care Center. Speaking during the check handover ceremony, the chairperson of the board at SCL, Jetro Ndlangamandla, commended the center's work and further urged Emaswati not to lose the spirit of giving and providing palliative care.
The culture of Emaswati that existed for the longest period, actually, it was a culture of caring. Our parents and grandparents never worried about aging because they knew our children will take care of us. And that has been the culture. But now our children go to the cities, and if you will be lucky and thank God if your children will take care of you when you actually get to that age. But during our brothers and sisters' time that are even older than us, there was no worry that if I get old, what will happen? My children were going to take care of us. But as I say, today things have changed. I would like to urge our children to learn from these organizations like yourselves that would care for our terminally ill relatives.
Representatives of the 3 beneficiaries extended their words of gratitude.
COVID nje thina singisheshaya usilimete kakhulu because in the past 2-3 years asikakhonile kwenda nakube sekwenda kube ngumkhuthano kube i-fundraiser yethu eBadloloja lapho besatisa khona letinye tinkampani nebantu nje lakhaya ukuthi senda misebenzi imini sibanawe mathuba ekhuluma ngemsebenzi wethu eminyakeni sekuthi nje kule minyaka lengcile besingakhona ndaba ye-COVID kuba nemalanga bo cancer day khanze ukuthi kune hospice and palliative care day sizame lawo malanga ke kumbe lokunye nemawalk sizame kwenda ukuthi bantu bade.
I want to sincerely thank each one of you for this donation which you made I know these days of times of COVID-19, it is not easy to make funds. Yet you manage to empty your pockets and reach out to the unfortunate people, those who suffer.
On another note, the company offers a range of products and services to private, commercial, and corporate companies that range from personal and business checking to savings plans, home banking, and lending options. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samgasiwe Khoza with Fuminkosi Nsinesa Babane.
UNESCO, in partnership with the Ministry of Education and Training, have launched the robotics program aimed at equipping students with computer skills at an early age. The program was launched at Mochane Primary School.
UNESCO, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, launched the robotics program, which aims at empowering learners in schools as well as out-of-school youth with computer skills in creating robots. This embraces the use of technology in an era of fourth industrial revolution. The Education and Science Program Officer at UNESCO, Nelsie Wendwande, says they have piloted the project in 3 schools so far. She says all grades are welcome to practice.
Bothishela baba engage khona ukuthi basebenzise le discipline lena yaka science lapho khona si integrator I technology ne engineering ukuthi bakhone kwakha ema-moving machines lanciphisa imitamo lanciphisa i-effort i-human effort ekwenteni timvo.
She says for now, the program is not yet in the curriculum but can be done during learners' spare time. Representative of Estonian National Commission and the facilitator of the program says developed countries use robots. Learners must be equipped with such skills at an early age.
Well, the robots can be used in many different ways. Now we are piloting the out-of-school project, but it can be used in the lessons as well. In Estonia, we really organize a lot of out-of-school programs for students, and they gain the knowledge and the skills. Like they have to have this cooperation skills, critical thinking. Also, they really learn to solve problems, like during building the robots.
The use of ICT embraces Sustainable Development Goal number 4, which speaks to quality education in all schools. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian Msibi, Mochane.
A storm that wreaked havoc this past weekend left homesteads without rooftops and destruction in Maysfield and some places around the country.
Places from various constituencies were left damaged by a storm that hit different places this past weekend. Homesteads were left roomless while maize fields were also damaged. Wiseman Zwana, a resident at Mlindazwe and Mhlambanya's constituency, says they've never seen such a storm before. He says they first thought it was light rains but later saw the destruction in maize fields.
Asifile monakalo omkhulu kakhulu ngabo 4 qhamuka nje litulu siyalikobosa litulu laliqhamuka lapha hayi lashinjela kuya kubo 5 liyashinja litulu qhamuka intuthu sithi yini ngathi ingungu leya shinja qhamuka umoya lomkhulu moya awu sa esisi sehafa.
The National Disaster Management Agency's Communications Officer, Wandile Mavuso, says most places were affected. They will respond as soon as possible.
Bantu labahlukobetekile lapho bang 15 and then bese kuthi 91 webantu enkhundleni yasemaseyisini eshiselweni andambilaneni umphakathi nakhona kube nesehlakalo imithi leng 15 ilimele lokufaka ekhathi kuhamba kwamathayela nalokunye lokulimele sesi ngekuthunywa nguhulumende ke mhlonto sesivele sicalile siwa on the ground siyayisebenta inzaba yabantu labakhenya betekile siya assess a situation ukuthi umonakalo benganani.
Mavuso asks and pleads with people to ensure that windows are closed before they can take on long distances. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian Msibi, Mbabane.
Dear viewers, and now take a look at our financial updates.
Standard Bank. It can be.
Welcome back. You're still watching Eswatini TV, and for your sports news tonight, Chief Executive Officer of Eswatini Olympic and Commonwealth Games Association, Maxwell Jele, says the organization is working towards ensuring that team sports such as basketball, football, handball and others also do take part of the Olympic and World Commonwealth Games in the near future. For now, the country is only represented by associations of single athletes, not team athletes. Jele was speaking during the forum with the team sports associations in Manzini.
Eswatini Olympic Commonwealth Games Association held a forum with team sports associations such as basketball, volleyball, handball and others to map out a way forward on how the team sports can also take part of Olympics and Commonwealth Games in the near future.
Sikhuluma nje akhona amathuba la khona la faka ikhathi ama programs la support Olympic Solidarity.
Olympic Movement Chief Executive Officer Maxwell Jele says for now the country is only represented by associations of single athletes, not team sports, something that should change in the near future. Jele says challenges of funds, facilities and other challenges have been the headlines behind the failure of the team sports not to take part of the games.
Both cycling and swimming. So sisho njalo nje sithi akhona lamathuba, akhona lama programs.
Team sports presidents who were present at the forum also expressed their feelings on what should be done in the near future for the nation to have team sports at the games.
Committed to work together with yoga in developing the sports in the country, netball. The passion is there. Yes, COVID came, messed up everything, but 2 years has gone. It's been, a tough 2 years, but we are willing to stand up out of the dust, work together.
The meeting it does vula emehlo kakhulu and it does see that intweni letiningi.
Lasesibukisisa kahle nje thina nje ka basketball kuma Olympics 5-on-5 cha besingeke vele sifike kepha Commonwealth Games siyathi ukuthi ikhona i3-on-3.
Upcoming Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, the country has been accorded 12 slots within 4 sporting codes. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Manzini.
Eswatini gymnastics coach Maxwell Ngwenya says the federation is prioritizing this year's Region 5 Games to be staged in Malawi after missing last year's edition in Lesotho. Ngwenya says preparations have already begun for this year's edition in Lilongwe. Ngwenya was speaking to Eswatini TV Sports in Babane.
Eswatini Gymnastics Federation missed out of the Lesotho Region 5 Games last year due to the coronavirus pandemic that pushed the federation to be inactive for a period of almost 2 years, and as a result, the federation could not be able to have an active team. Fast forwarding to 2022, the federation is already in full swing for this year's edition, which will be staged in Malawi.
Our target this time is the target Region 5 Lotobase Malawi. Yes, last year, unfortunately, we couldn't represent and so on, but sure.
Maxwell Ngwenya, who is the gymnastic coach and a member of the federation, says preparations have already started, with different programs and tournaments expected to begin this month. Ngwenya says the tournament will positively assist the federation for the selection of the team in Malawi.
Region 5 phinde target ukuthi complete international place ke
The games will begin on the 2nd to the 11th of December in Malawi's capital city, Lilongwe. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Zuluini.
That is all we have for tonight, but before we wrap up, we'll take a recap of today's headlines. The Director of Education, Dr. Ndomendle Dlamini, says the second phase of the Technical and Vocational Education and Training Enhancement Project, TVET, will focus on strengthening the national skills framework. The Ministry of Tourism and Environmental Affairs has held a climate adaptation stakeholder consultation meeting. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Bektem Magama, says he is disappointed to read in media that some teachers say they will not be in class this week. That brings us to the end of our news bulletin tonight. Up next is the weather forecast for selected towns. Good night, Eswatini.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open